What's going on, fellas? Welcome back to the channel, man. It's your boy, and for today I wanted to give you guys a first look at my guy Kurt rocking his brand new X-Force uniform. And I gotta say, from an aesthetic standpoint, this uniform looks beautiful. I absolutely love it, and it also gave my guy some pretty cool changes. However, don't get it twisted. I'm gonna slow it down for you guys right now, okay? Unless you are a super fan of Kurt, if you were a big fan of Nightcrawler, that is the only reason that you should be buying this uniform. That, or if this uniform is required for another character's uniform that you care about. Those are the only two reasons I can think of for you to buy this uniform. Why? Because even with this uniform looking as cool as it does, giving him a substantial increase in DPS and crowd control, Kurt is still one of the weakest mutants in Marvel Future Fight. In my opinion, he's a B tier character at best. In the opinions of most people, he's C tier, maybe even D tier. Okay, he's really and truly only going to be good for Shadowland. And if you invest a whole lot into him, he might actually be able to do work past stage 30. However, outside of Shadowland, talking about PvP like timeline battle, Kurt is not going to do anything for you there. He dies way too quickly and his damage isn't very good. Talking about World Boss Ultimate, ABX, 2 high level game mode, he's not going to do well there for you. His damage isn't very good. And frankly speaking, even though this guy has 4 iframes, which are actually very long iframes that you can chain together to keep him safe under most circumstances, he's still not that good defensively because of the fact that the one major change that they needed to make with this uniform for Kurt, they once again decided not to make that change. What I'm speaking about is these summons. I personally wouldn't have cared if they just removed them completely, but I definitely understand that they're an intricate part of the character. I get why they're there. However, these summons do more to hurt Kurt than to help him. Honestly, they don't do that much damage. And frankly speaking, even though under most circumstances, with many of the characters in the game having summons, and as many summons as this guy has, because literally every time you use one of his skills, you get one of those little summons to pull aggro and do additional damage for you. And they're really good for Shadowland to suppress the enemy, because even their basic attacks will guard break and stun lock the enemies. So it's really good for Shadowland for keeping enemies in check. And because Kurt flies around so much, it's so easy, even when you're not stunning them with any of his skills or hitting them with the fear on the 4th skill, you can easily just completely lock the enemies down and completely dominate them. It's awesome to watch him do his thing in Shadowland, but outside of Shadowland, these summons are a major liability. And the reason for that is because when you're playing Kurt, and Kurt is the type of character that jumps from iframe to iframe to iframe to do his damage and keep himself safe. However, these summons in World Boss Ultimate, ABX, Timeline Battle, wherever else you use them outside of Shadowland, are a big liability because the summons will always be pulling aggression from the bosses or the other characters that you are trying to kill. And that is not good for a character that does the bulk of his damage while he's in iframes. And the reason why is because characters have iframes besides Kurt. So if they do one of their skills that have an iframe on it while they're trying to kill one of your summons, guess what's going to happen to you? Kurt is then going to be pulled out of his skill, costing you damage, right? Because your skill is just going to get completely canceled out. And if you're unlucky and your positioning is not correct, which when he's moving around, you can't really control where he's going to end up for the most part, right? It's kind of just a blind leap of faith. So if you're unlucky and the boss was trying to kill one of your little minions or something and they jump into an iframe while attacking and you get pulled out of your skill, boom, you're right in the line of fire. And because he's a speed character, natively, his HP and defense stats are not that high. So what happens is you come out of the safety of an iframe to getting hit by an attack, and in most cases just that one attack can straight up kill you. And there's absolutely nothing worse than watching Nightcrawler fly around the map, jumping from iframe to iframe, chaining your skills together, feeling like an absolute badass, reliving some of the comic book moments with this guy, and out of nowhere, one of your skills just get cancelled because a boss or another character is trying to target your summon. And out of nowhere, you're just stopped in your track and you're wondering what happened. And before you know it, you're dead. Just because a boss was trying to kill one of your summons. It is so aggravating. And playing like let's say 5 minutes of Robot's Ultimate and you're doing really well for like 4 minutes and 30 seconds and you're about to kill the boss jumps into an iframe trying to kill one of your summons. Boom, you get pulled out of your skill. Boom, your Nightcrawler is dead and you just fail after 4.5 minutes of work. Just because, why? The boss was trying to kill your summon. Honestly, it is so frustrating to watch him get pulled out of his iframes repeatedly because of these stupid summons. And I like them, they look cool, and I understand why they are there. But honestly, I don't feel like they should be targetable. They don't do anything really for the character because Kurt is jumping from iframe to iframe to iframe. So even without the summons pulling aggro, he still would be very safe. He doesn't need them to pull aggression for him because he's constantly going to be jumping into iframes. So I don't know why they decided once again to make the summons targetable. It's not like they couldn't just keep the stats and let them do damage, even though they don't do any real damage. Like, they do peanuts for damage, for God's sakes. They could have easily made them like Loki summons or Sister Grimm summons where they don't pull aggro and they're still just there because they're really not doing any kind of damage. So honestly, guys, if you're expecting Nightcrawler's X-Force uniform to make him a top-tier character in Marvel Future Fight, unfortunately, you're shit out of luck. That is not the case. You got shafted. I am so sorry if you guys are a diehard. If you guys love Nightcrawler the way how I love Deadpool and this is what you got, I feel real bad for you because they could have easily either took away the summons or made them not targetable. And we've spoken about this. This is basically the #1 complaint about Nightcrawler. They could keep his damage the same and just make the summons not targetable, and he would immediately become a much better character. Because half of the time you lose a bunch of damage because you get pulled out of your skills before you can complete them. And not only do you lose damage, you lose survivability because you lost a skill. And like I said before, he has iframes for safety. So every time one of your skills get cancelled, you're not only losing offense, you're losing defense. And that's why he's end up in the place where he is right now as one of the weakest mutants in the game. It's so sad. It's so sad for such a beloved character, and it looks so awesome to see him in his X-Force uniform, but I honestly cannot recommend this. The only reason for you to buy this is if this uniform is recommended for one of the uniforms that you really love. Like if this uniform was a part of the upgrade for, like, let's say my Deadpool, then yes, I would definitely get it to Mythic. But as for right now, this is gonna stay at normal, unfortunately, even though I really love Kurt and I love the way how he looks in this uniform. And the changes are actually really good. Like, they changed around his 4-star passive from being without the uniform. Let's see right here, I'll show you guys. You can see for yourself a 15% all attack buff when he's dodging, which honestly, you don't want to rely on dodging attacks to scale up your DPS because dodging requires you to get hit. And as a speed character, you never want to get hit, especially when you don't have any native healing because your HP pool isn't that high. In this uniform, they made it so that when he's attacking, 40% of the time you can get a 20% all attack buff. So that's a really good change. If they had just made it so that the summons, I cannot stress it enough, if they had just made it so that the summons were not targetable, he would immediately become a character that is worth building, especially since he's so hard to farm for in the processor, and most of the people who are gonna get him to tier 2 are gonna actually have to spend money on bio selectors, sorry, X gene selectors, who are getting from the X gene subscription. It's so sad, and I really like how his new skills look, man. He just looks so freaking awesome. I'm definitely gonna have a lot of fun with him in Shadowland, but it's just so sad that he's never going to be a really good World Boss Ultimate character. I'm gonna get him to tier 2 in the next few days, so I'll give y'all some World Boss Ultimate gameplay with him. But honestly, if you're not a super fan of Nightcrawler, you definitely don't want to buy this uniform, because you are going to be disappointed. This is not the X23 upgrade, where she went from just being kind of whatever to being very solid. Kurt is going from being kind of whatever to just being kind of okay for Shadowland, now that we can go past stage 30. If you build him up and invest a ton into him, I'm sure he's going to be able to do stage 30 plus for you. But outside of that, he's really not going to shine through. He's really going to be a frustrating character to play, to keep alive and do respectable damage with. So yeah, let's keep that in mind. Anyways, boys, I'm gonna give y'all a little DPS comparison, a little bit of Shadowland gameplay, as I always do. I'll show y'all how I have them set up right now. I have them at 15 gears. I have about 416 bios. I'm gonna collect another like 50 or so for him, and then we'll try to push him to tier 2, and I'll show y'all how he does in World Boss Ultimate in the next few days. I have a crappy 3-star obelisk on him right now. I'm gonna change that over to something worthwhile in the next few days as well. So yeah, let's actually jump into Shadowland, and I'll show y'all how he does right here on an entry mode. He's actually really fun to play in this new uniform. I'll show y'all how he does without the uniform first. This stage is actually really difficult for him without the uniform, but with the uniform, he actually cuts through this thing quite nicely. Without the uniform though, it's a struggle just to try and keep him alive, because Cyclops is the type of guy that will snipe you when you're in iframes. But let's see if we can get this. Now, this is definitely the most difficult of the 3 options, simply because Cyclops is going to try and snipe me while I'm in iframes. So we're going to have to try and keep him completely locked down. Really? This guy got away. Oh, come on. None of that. None of that. Here we go. Whoo! Really? Wow, we got killed by Rogue. Like, he dies so quickly, man. Jeez. Let me go put on the uniform, boys, and I'll show y'all how the uniform does. It does a lot better, way more damage, and the crowd control is definitely significantly better. But this is definitely still a difficult stage because of Cyclops. Alright, let's see how much better we do with the uniform. You have a better chance of surviving, but hold up. Scotty's a problem child. We gotta get him out of here, bro. Get up out of here. Whoo, this guy, bro, pulled me out of this thing again. Oh my god. Yo, that flying sword skill is so sick. Look at the crowd control. It's so sick. Also, because he has the guard, he's a little bit safer. Also, that flying slash just looks so cool. Like, he's still very, very squishy. That definitely doesn't change. But he's definitely a little bit better because the crowd control with the swords and the slashing and the residual damage, he's definitely significantly better in the uniform for Shadowland at the very least. But any stage that you're using him on, if the characters have iframes themselves and they hit their iframes, oh my goodness, you're in problems because you're going to get pulled out of your skill and you're going to take a bunch of damage. So be very careful with Nightcrawler, man. I'm telling y'all, Shadowland is basically the only place he's going to really excel because not too many characters have iframes in Shadowland. Let's see what we can do here without the uniform, and then I'll show you guys with the uniform as well. We should do a lot better here because only Iron Man has iframe, but he doesn't have iframe ignore. He's just kind of standing up there. and waiting for an opportunity to attack. Also in Shadowland, the bosses tend to not go after the minions as much. Yeah, he's doing a lot better here. But you can see for yourself the damage isn't like spectacular. See, like that, I was in the iframe. Iron Man was using his beam to try and kill one of the summons, and he just kept turning until I came out of one of my iframes to hit me with the beam. We're actually running out of time here. Oh my goodness. Wow. We actually ran out of time. Crazy, bro. That is actually crazy. Okay, let's actually put the uniform on. I was fully expecting to be able to clear that. Like his stats are actually pretty high. Only thing that's really low is like attack speed, but he gets a lot of attack speed natively, like from his 4 skill buff, right? And from his passive. So wow. I was fully expecting. Surprisingly, the one that he's gonna kill first is Vostag, who's actually the best member of the Warriors 3. Yeah, he's not gonna be able to do this because we got 2 dead. Come on, come on, come on. We got 2 out of 3 dead. Not complete garbage, but still real garbage. I'm telling y'all, man. Nightcrawler is definitely one of the weakest mutants in the game, if not the weakest out of all the mutants in the game. With the uniform, he might be a little bit better, but yeah, man. I don't think this is one that you need to buy. You can just go ahead and skip it. Yo, that skill is so sick. The 4th and the 5th, so like the 4, the 5, and the 3 are all really cool skills. Like the residual slash on the ground from the 5th skill. Same thing for that demonic looking slash that he does with the 4th. Looks really cool as well. And the fact that you have the flying swords on the 3, like all of those things are just really cool. Like, look at that. I mean, he just looks so cool to watch him do his thing. And once again, we're gonna get more DPS with the uniform. So yeah, man, the uniform is definitely an upgrade, but it's not a massive upgrade. In terms of aesthetics, it's awesome, right? The skills look better, the character looks more appealing, but in terms of what you're able to do with him, it's pretty much just more of the same, right? He's just a little bit better at the things that he could already do, and what he could do before was just Shadowland. That's it, baby, unfortunately. But anyways, man, I'm gonna wrap it up right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, leave your thoughts in the comment section. If you picked up the uniform, how are you feeling about it? Please feel free to give me your honest opinion. If you think this is a good purchase, if you're actually happy with what we got, please let me know in the comment section, because frankly, I'm not happy.